Okay. We are recording.
Ready, action, fire, eh?
Yep.
Okay.
We covered a little bit about where you were born and stuff last time.
I don't know if I've told you this one before,
Okay.
but it's one I enjoy telling so much every time I think of it. We was coming into work one night, and I was a supervisor on the ward, and we got in there, and he said, "Man, we should have a pizza." I said, "Okay, boys, this is how we're going to do it. If they call to see if everybody's here, you tell them I called and said I had a flat tire, I'll be there as soon as you can." And I went out, jumped in my car, run into Saline, about 7 miles away, got a pizza and ice cold Pepsi for everybody, which wouldn't have been no big deal, but we know the big boss is going to be coming around. And we didn't like him. He was a jerk. So I said, "This is how we're going to do it." And they listened to it like I was a preacher preaching the gospel. Uh-oh. There goes the fire truck out. Anyway, finally, I said, "This is what we're going to do. We're going to sit here and eat this pizza." And he comes around. You are not to offer him any of that pizza. You are not to offer him any cold Pepsi. He came around, and we sat there eating our pizza, drinking our cold Pepsi, and you know he had to be wishing he could get into it, but he never got into it, and he sat there for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and finally he left, and we had a good laugh. But I don't know what they did for me for leaving my job, but that was that one. Some of these going to be from my work at the state hospital in Ypsi.
Right.
And the other one, we had a pretty good. This one had a good supervisor. We liked him pretty good, but we was a little bit crazy, and it was like 4th of July time, and I had some bottle rockets, small ones.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on the 3rd floor, and every once in a while, I'd open the screen and shoot one of them things out in the middle of the night down there at the state hospital. And when he come in, I throw the firecracker over behind him. Now, that was a stupid thing to pull, because he probably could have fired me, but he didn't get mad anyway. And he was a good guy. And another one they might have put me on the road for is we were working one night, and it was raining like crazy outside. And we looked down to the bottom of the floor, and there was a dog down there in the rain. So we go down and get the dog and bring him up on that ward where all them patients are. We feed him some bread and some milk, and we put him where the linen room was. We said, "No, you stay real quiet when the bosses come around, because otherwise we'd be in trouble," we told the dog. He never made a sound. Boss came around, nothing, he took off and left. But that wasn't the end of the story. I took the dog the next morning with me to get the patients out of bed, which is a very stupid thing, probably on my part, but we were having fun. and I told them patients, "No, you better get out of your bed, because he don't like when people are lazy." He said, "He might jump and bite you." They was getting out of bed and going just like they were told to do, Finally, we took him back outside. He didn't want to go, but we had to take him outside before the day shift come in. But that was some of the crazy things we did. And the time when I worked in physical therapy, which was in the basement of a building, I would have to go get the patients in a wheelchair and bring them back down there for their physical therapy. And the boss said I couldn't make it a certain amount of time. And took him up on his bet. I took off flying and got this lady in a wheelchair, and when we took her back, we were flying then too, and we hit something, dumped that poor lady out of that wheelchair on the run. She was having a ball. She didn't think nothing of it, but I was scared for a while that things might not happen quite.
I bet.
But the physical therapy was a great department. And the boss was a little bit of a jerk now and then, but we handled him. And they got a new phone system in there, and you could call any place with them, long distance. And the doggone Mexican guy, Rick Herrera, he'd get on there and he'd be calling his relatives in California and stuff like that, you know. But one time the boss fell and broke his hip.
Oh.
Well, we had brought the ambulance, and two of us went with him to downtown Detroit somewhere to the hospital. We got down there, and the people from the hospital had no idea how to take a person off of that thing, you know, and put him on their stretchers. So he called us over, and we got him on there real easy, and that was one of the smarter things we did. But one of the best things that I ever was involved in was working with a man 90 years old who had broke his hip. And when he first started out in the parallel bars, he could stand for 10 seconds.
Oh, wow.
That's all he could start. But he stayed with it and stayed with it. By the time he got done, he could walk up the stairs by himself.
Wow.
We had the safety rope on him, but he could do it by himself. He said, I knew it was going to hurt like hell if I was ever going to walk again. And I could never forget that guy had that kind of guts at 90 years old.
Right.
Doggone it, I'm almost there.
You gotta find out what kind of guts you got, eh?
I've taken a few tumbles. But, no, it was good. And then the year after we won our first T-ball title, and we were practicing, and they had this new team coming in. And Lester, you remember this rule. If you're beating a team by 10, 12 points, you don't mouth off to them.
Right.
You don't. They know they're getting their butts whipped. Well, we had 8 guys. Most of our big guns weren't there. They beat us by 1 run. And they was hooting and a-hollering. And they'd beat the champs. Some of my guys were putting her in tears because that wasn't the way they played the game. I told them, just wait. I said, when we play in the regular season, we'll let our bats and our gloves do the talking. Okay, that was okay. So we did play them in the regular season. The first time we played them, we showed them what the game was about. You know the rule, you had to play everybody 2 innings.
Right.
And bat once. Well, I put my weaker hitters in there, and when they had that in, then I turned the dogs loose, and I brought in my best guys, and we ended up beating them 41-19. There was nothing given. I was running you guys hard as you could run. You know, I wanted to punish them.
That was when they kept score.
Huh?
That was back when they kept score.
Yeah. Well, there was one game, too, where I had to talk to the crowd. We were playing in the first season again, and we were getting beat bad. I think the score was something like 18-2, the final score.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowd back there was suggesting this, suggesting that, and that. Well, you know, I don't like nobody telling me how to run my team. I turned around and I just screamed at them, shut up. This is my team. I'll coach it the way I want it. If you want to coach a team, you come up next year and get your own doggone team. This is my team. And I never heard another peep out of them either. But it was my team. But I must tell this one. I also had another rule. Only one person talks to the umpire. That was me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to him. And this little guy come running out, and I turned and pointed at him at the bench, And he turn around and run right back without saying a word. You know who that was? That was you.
Oh, well. What did I have to say?
I don't know what you were going to say.
I was a nice
But
kid.
then I remember when we practiced a lot, because the first year you were playing catcher with twice as much gear on you as you needed, and when we needed a shortstop and a third baseman, and we'd practice out in the front yard. I'd bat the ball to you, grab it, and I'd have on a regular working glove, and I'd catch that thing like that. And when we got in the game there one night, you wanted to get smart alecky, I thought, You wanted to, every time they got to pitch that ball, you'd want to run towards the batter, yelling and screaming at him.
Well.
And I told him, okay, but you better watch out. If he hits that thing, he might drive it down your throat,
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had it so that if the coach had a pretty good player, they would pitch him, pitch him to him underhanded. And there was no way that kid was going to hit anything when you were coming down through there just screaming and yelling.
No.
And but them was good times. We had rough times that the first year. And I remember this. It tells you how Lester Jr. played ball just like his old man would. You were catching tiny little thing then. And I had a rule, if you wasn't there when I wrote up the lineup, you weren't going to start. I don't care who you was. Well, we was playing the defending champs. And so far they'd won every game that year. And we were pushing them. And we come up, the bases loaded. He was turn up the bat, and I said, Lester, we got to try and beat these guys. This guy's a good hitter, so I'm going to send him an interview. And I still remember the word you said, I don't care. We just want to beat him. And that kid got up there and hit a triple and drove in 3-1s. We ended up beating the defending champs. The parents went crazy, and they was buying goodies for everybody, And one year, this was, I think, when maybe Greg was playing, and I told him I'd buy him I'd get a cold bottle of Pepsi for every time legitimate home run they hit.
Okay.
Oh man, the second game I had to come with 20 bottles of pop. We had one tall black kid that played first base, and he was trying his darndest. He couldn't get a home run for nothing. He was big enough and strong enough, but something happened. Come down to about the last game, and I put him high in the batting order so he could get more chances. Finally hit one. Boy, was that little guy overjoyed, There was a lot of fun in that T-ball. And another one, we had this little blonde boy. He just come up from kindergarten, and he get up there and he hit I called a pop fly to center field. There was, I think there was about 4 players in the field went for the ball. None of them got it. And this little guy run to first, and he turned from first, and the coach over there was telling him to stop. He didn't see nothing. He took off. He went towards second base, and now I'm over at third base telling him to stop. This guy's telling him to stop. He didn't slow up, and every base he went, it looked like his eyeballs was getting bigger, He went around, and he rounded third and heading for home, and he made it.
Oh, boy.
I was laying on the ground just roaring with laughter. I said, bring me a tranquilizer. I'm having a heart attack or something, And in that same game, there was a little girl on first, and her team, the guy up the bat, got a hit. Well, you go to second, and then you go to third. She went to second. She headed right for left field, right out to the outfield. When my player picked up the ball, he looked there, what do I do now, But you know, it was a joy of it, and the kids were great. And one time, your grandma down there, she was the secretary at the early elementary, and they like a grown up out there on the playground. She got me out of bed, and I came up there, and this one little guy, he was a little bit hot headed. He was a good player. But somebody told him that I was not his coach. Now, he was ready to whoop that guy. He come over and said, "You are my coach, aren't you?" I said, "Yes, Robbie, I'm your coach and you're a very good player." Well, then he was all set, you know. He'd won his battle. But, the joys of coaching that little league, and that was just T-ball. But I'm trying to think of something else we might have done. This didn't happen to me, thank the good Lord. I didn't work that night, but I found out what happened later. Somebody brought in a batch of brownies.
Uh-oh.
It wasn't just brownies.
Mm-hmm.
It was loaded with that smoking material.
Uh-huh.
And some of them, they ate them up. And then one guy got so goofy, he was down on his hands and knees on the floor like that. You know, I said, I'm glad I didn't get there because I like the brownies.
Yeah, you ate a half a dozen of them.
I would, you know, if the big shots had found that, they'd have probably fired the whole darn bunch of them. And then one thing we used to do when the big boss would come around, then we'd go over to the next ward and play cards, play a little coin on it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we went over that one night playing, and we decided we'd play a trick on this one girl. So we put something in an envelope and put her name on it, and we told her, "Hey, there's an envelope in there with your name on it." So when she goes, and she opened it up, and she let the doggone to scream and yell and stuff like that you ever heard. It was a dead mouse in there.
Oh, boy.
They wouldn't have. And one night we had a party, and I know what they did. They spiked the punch. The big boss come around, and she had a couple of them drinks. She said, "Boy, that tastes good." We never did tell her that it was loaded.
Gee.
We had some, and we made up our mind we wanted to see when the boss came on the ward to come through the door. Take an empty pop can like this, set it on the doorknob that he was to come through. When that fell off and hit that like a terrazzo floor, you know,
right.
You could hear it. Okay, he was there. Well, and then we had these things you pull like that and they explode string.
Oh, the poppers, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we hooked some of them up to the door too. So when he opened the door, it'd go blasting off. And another time we knew the door had come through, we went up there, and it's always locked, of course. We took a pencil, took it in there, and twisted around and broke it off. No way could he unlock that. Them damn patients are at it again, you know. They got the patience for it.
You got no patience for the patients.
There's another one that didn't happen to me. It was your Steve, the burly hog, was working, and this guy came in, and he was in there for a week. And you're supposed to take him in, give him a shower, and see if they got any bruises that they didn't have when they went out. They didn't check this guy. About a week later, they checked him over, and he had a loaded 38 on him.
Holy macros.
Yeah, that shook him up a bit. But nobody got in trouble with it. He said there's going to be a bloody revolutions. We're going to kill a few more. And Steve says, "That's okay. We'll have some more holidays."
Jeez.
And another time, Steve came in, and there was one patient choking another guy out. And he choked him so far out that he had wet his pants.
Oh, he's out. Yeah.
You couldn't grab the guy that was doing the choking because the other guy would be dead before he let go. Steve come around like this and he swung his forearm up and caught that guy right under the nose and just flipped him right over backwards. Well, the next day when he come in, the guy that had been getting choked met him at the door. He says, "Oh, bitch," he says, "you saved my life," he said.
Probably did.
But I did get in a little trouble for a shenanigan I pulled. We had this one guy that was 5'11", about 250, real nice patient, never a bit of trouble. And he come to me one morning and told me that guy just wouldn't leave him alone. He would bother him, making things miserable. I says, "Here's what you do. You double up your fist, when you go going around like this, hit him right on top of the head." Nothing by all of a sudden we heard something squealing. He did just what I told him to. He hit that guy right on top of the head and put him to his knees. And he told me and I got chewed out for that. Mainly he said they grilled me for an hour more, he said, before I had to tell him what happened. The guy didn't bother him no more.
No, I bet not.
And no, we did quite a few things that weren't according to the rules.
You think?
Well, I worked on a ward. The ward, when you were born and you were fresh at home, and I was the only guy on that ward at nights. I'd set up the meds, and then I'd have to give them the meds and get them ready to take them down to breakfast. Well, this one guy did not want to go. He weighed probably about 235, 240, and he went and stayed in bed. Well, I wasn't happy, and I went back there, and I grabbed his bag and his bed and flipped it upside down with him in it. I said, "If you want to come at me, come right now or get your bleep downstairs to breakfast." Down he went. He was big. I weighed about 150, 60 pounds. But then the first day I worked on Unit C, Washtenaw County Unit, I was late getting in there. I was in a foul mood. The first day you don't want to be late on the job. And I went in there, and old Reggie Talbot had taken them all down to breakfast, and this guy wouldn't get up and go. So when I get in, she said, "Okay, you go take this Talbot and take him down to breakfast." I went in his room, and I said, "Come on, time for breakfast, let's go." "I ain't going." Well, I reached down to help him up, and he come up swinging.
Oh.
I spun him around and got him in a hammerlock behind his back and the nape of the neck, and every step he made, my knee was catching his butt, going down there till we got to the stairway. The boss of the day come out, looked at me, and turned around, went right back in. She was, and now that Talbot was a character. It was great to work with, but he didn't use a lot of common sense sometimes. And he was in the office, and this woman come in to talk. I don't know what they were about. And I wasn't there that day either, I don't think. And she grabbed these old-time telephones, they're hard.
Oh, yeah.
She took that and she hit old Talbot on top of the head. He grabbed her and dragging her down the hall to the back where the exclusion rooms was. Also down there was a coffee room, and the doctors was in there. The doctor come out. Dude, leave that patient. Talbot told me he better shut his mouth up and get back in that coffee room, or he's going to get some of the same. Doctor went back in the coffee room. And no, that was... and then another time, I got a couple of incidents with the hotel, but he was great to work with, but he didn't have too much lick of sense. Remember they had the riots in Detroit?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They had the National Guard down there. And him and his buddy said, "Well, other guys are going down there. They're getting something hauling it back."
Oh, jeez.
He said, "Let's go." So they all went down there. and they met up with a couple of National Guard, and the National Guard said, "Get your ass for home." And he said, "What you mean?" He said that the soldier took off the Coulter butt and he rammed me right in the chest. He said, "I got my ass for home."
That was enough to make it.
Yeah. Another time we took a couple of guys up to the gym just to play some basketball. And he had a black guy with him and I had a white guy with him. He said, "We're going to turn the black power on you guys today." Black power never appeared. We beat him like 21-2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said he got caught in a white backlash. And the other one, it was like Thanksgiving time, and we didn't mind working them holidays because we got time and a half. You know?
Right.
We got good wages. And I had brought in a couple of these little palm-sized squirt guns,
Okay.
and we fill them up, and we go around chasing each other, and maybe chasing patients, squirting them with that, you know. Well, then I got the brilliant idea. I went down to where the women keep their beauty stuff. I filled mine up with perfume,
Oh, jeez.
and I took after Mr. Talbot. I never seen him run so fast, but I got him anyway. And the patients were just laughing and roaring.
Oh, I bet.
The nurse was in there in the little lunchroom like they had there. She was making pies so they'd have something to celebrate with, you know. But then another time I felt very bad. They had this guy about 6'2", 220, 25 pounds. He was definitely a lot bigger than me. And he got out the door and took off, went down the stairs and outside. They sent me at 150 pounds to go get this guy. I wasn't too sure what I was getting into, but I went out there. It was a bright, sunny day, beautiful day. And I caught up with it. I said, "Come on now. You know you're not supposed to be out here. Let's go back to the ward." He turned around, come right with me. Never said a word until we got putting her up to the top of the third floor. And he said, "Please, Mr. Livermore," he said, "please don't beat me." And I just felt about 2 inches tall. He was a nice guy. You wonder what his family life had been like, you know.
Right.
Because a lot of the times, the people that brought him in was crazier than the ones that they brought in.
Yeah.
And
Something happened to make him respond like that.
yeah. And no, it's just, one more thing happened. Two more things, two different things happened. This is all at the state hospital. I'll give them to you tonight. They brought in a guy, an old sheep farmer, and he looked like he'd been wrestling in a grease pit. He was so dirty and filthy and stinking and stuff like that. Well, we put him in a big tub, you know, regular tight, one of these old claw tall feet, and one of them guys would tub and put him in there. And we washed him all up. We didn't wash his private areas. And he said he wasn't going to do it either. Well, I come up with an idea. He volunteered to do it. You know these screws, big brushes that's got these heavy things in it that looks like a piece of stick coming out of it and stuff, big brushes, you know, stuff like that. I said, "Okay, I'll wash it." And I started to go like this. No. He washed himself up real good, proper, you know. And but the thing is, when you have to search him, all their clothes and all stuff like this. He had $750. No, that was. Yeah, he had $750 on him.
Wow.
I don't know where he got it from somebody or he carried that on him. But that gets the nurses, the big shots, all excited. I said they're lucky we had us lucky guys there. He'd never found anything on there, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And, I even thought of another one. I was working and it had a nurse and her first name was Grace. And she was more strict than Mrs. Truan, the second in command. And they brought in a guy, state police brought him in. They put him in a room, and I'd been off running some errand or something. When I come in, she told me to go back and check him. So I did. I checked him. I went back up and told her, I said, well, you ain't going to worry about that guy. I said, he's dead. I checked him with the mirror in front of his nose and all of this stuff. Holy mackerel, I thought she was going to jump right over top of that desk. I had to stick around there a couple hours later because any unexplained death like that, the state police have to come in and...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And... But that was something there. And then one day when I was working, the employee came from a ward over, and she was almost in a state of shock. They said the guy come in, and they brought, and they checked him over, and she come over with what they found. 52 $100 bills, 2 of them in Canadian, and the rest were American $100 bills that he took from his family, the family where he stayed.
Oh, really?
We counted them out. It was $5,200.
Well, and this was back when?
And
what year was this?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, roughly, it had to be... Was I born?
Huh?
Was I born?
I don't remember.
So, but it had to be like in early 70s at the very latest. $5,200 back then was probably like about...
Oh, that was like 20 grand. That was a loot of money. Over like, $5,000.
Yeah. But today that'd be like 20 grand.
Yeah, yeah. And another time, I was working with this old nurse. She was from Canada. She was good at nursing, but I didn't. We was the only one on the ward on Wayne. He brought this guy up from Ann Arbor, and his wrists were so big they had to use leg irons on him. Wow. They said he used to shadow box with Joe Louis, 6'7", 251 pounds.
Jesus.
And they just chucked him in the door and left. It was just me and that old nurse. I was ready to, if he asked for keys, I was going to give him every key I could find. He was too big for me to scuffle with. Well, then they transferred him over to A building, which was Wayne County Mission. They had 2 or 3 big black guys over there that weighed about 250 pounds, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they went in one day to give him a shot. Well, he come at them. And one of them hauled off and pole-axed him and put him right back on his bed, and he never bothered him no more.
I bet not.
And, no, there were some good times. And one of the best things I had was 9 holes of free golf anytime I wanted it.
That's what I remember you telling, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's where I got my first birdie. I sunk about a 25, 30-foot putt that broke about 1.5 feet, 2 feet. They heard me all over the golf course.
I remember you taking me one time on that course before we moved up north. So I had to be pretty young.
Oh, and I can tell you something happened on that. We were on, I think, the first hole. Or anyway, it was a hole on. It was a team. I and the guy I worked with. And then there was this social worker guy that weighed about 350 pounds. When he drove down the road, down the street, with about a 64 Chevrolet, it tipped like that. He was that heavy.
That's
and
heavy.
I don't know, I forget what he said when he said, and I was really ticked. And I told him to I told him, you bastard, shut your mouth. Then he was going to come at me. I started reaching for my putter. I was going to wrap it right around his neck. But my partner got in between us. And no, You don't talk when somebody's getting ready to hit the ball.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
No. I learned that pretty young.
And another time on that same hole, I was with David and Roy. No, David and Roy and me out there playing. And there was about 3 of these Oriental doctors. They were out there about 75 yards. And they couldn't make up their mind what to hit. They had another 400 yards to go, and they pull out a 7-iron. I said, man, I ain't going to play this way. I got up there and I hit that ball right out over their head about 250 yards, and I hollered, Tora, Tora, Tora.
Oh, jeez.
Code word for when the Japs hit Pearl Harbor.
Right.
Well, David said, if you can do it, I can too. We all drove it right down there. They finished out the hole, and then they let us play through.
I bet.
You don't hit 400 yards with a 7-iron.
Right.
And but that was. And at other times I put their whipped a patient out there on the golf course too. They'd go out there and they'd find lost golf balls and then sell them to the golfers.
Oh, okay.
Well, this guy was going to go right up on the green and get our balls. He didn't.
I bet.
And then another time we was playing around and there was just like a little alleyway between a group of trees here and a group of trees here. And there was a pair of patients out there making out.
Oh, boy.
We had to run off and took them up to the nursing office and see they lose their ground privilege for that. You know?
Oh.
But it was fun. And when we first got married, the tee-off hole was, maybe about from here to the other side, the highway, the street up there, from the building where we lived in. Well, she was making supper. I'd go out and play 3 or 4 holes of golf.
Oh, boy.
Hey,
You started out
get
young.
it made.
Where'd you guys get married?
Huh?
Where did you guys get married?
What'd she make?
Where did you get married?
In Lansing. That's where we got married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but this was down at the
No, I know
state
that.
hospital.
No, but I just all of a sudden realized I didn't know where you guys got married.
No, I was. That was. But we go out there and play golf for free. So away we go.
Tell me about Mom's meatloaf.
Huh?
Tell me about Mom's meatloaf.
Oh, your mama's first great meal she built for me?
Yes.
Oh,
Sorry, Mom.
she worked hard at it. And she had to go down in the basement to do the cooking.
Okay.
So I might have been in there.
Because you were living on
I was in
employee housing at the hospital, right? You at employee housing at the hospital?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the men's dorm.
Okay.
But it was a 2-room apartment. And it was, I don't know, $25 a month for rent.
Yeah.
It was a little more for us because we had the 2 rooms. And that was, I think, maybe $33, $34 a month.
Right.
And they furnished clean linen every week.
Oh, boy.
But no, she was down there and she worked so hard. She made it, and it looked good. It really looked good. And we took a bite of it. And my first thought was, dog ain't going to eat this. It was so salty. She tried to make it so good, doing her best. And she wanted to put some onion flavor in it. She didn't have it, so she used onion salt. And she was crying, and I was laughing. I couldn't help it. You know, you hear so many stories about the wife doing that. And if I doggone it, they got me. And when we stopped talking, I said, wait a minute now. Don't worry about that meatloaf. We ain't going to waste a bit of it. You know, you make, what was it, macaroni and cheese with the hamburger in it, honey?
Goulash, I can't remember.
And I said, we'll just put a bunch of that salted hamburger in there.
Mm-hmm.
We never lost a drop of it. We ate the whole darn thing. But we still enjoy the meal.
Still enjoy the story, too. Sorry, Mom.
It didn't turn out bad. And they had pop machines over in the women's dorm,
Okay.
but it wasn't on the main floor. You had to go someplace to get it. And I went over there, and a heavy-set woman, I forget her name, but she looked like she was German or something like that. And she guarded over them girls, student nurses. That's where the student nurses stayed.
Okay.
And she guarded over them like they were her own daughters. Of course, we was up. Anyway, I got my pop, and it was wintertime, and I walked out. And I looked up, and there was one of them. I didn't know which one it was. It happened to be your mom. And I got this snowball, 3rd floor. I fired that thing at it, went through all of them limbs and hit that doggone window and stuff like that. And she let her scream water, and I run like heck. I've been paying for it ever since. And another time, I went over there, she called me over there, because she had an accident and they broke. What was it you broke, honey? Foot or something?
Toe. Broken
And
my foot.
I had to, she called me, had her call me to come and take her to take care of it. And
Emergency room.
and I think it was in the morning or something, because the old lady, she was nice, she was a wonderful gal, but we just liked to play tricks on her. And she was taking me up the steps, and pretty soon here come that girl, I don't know if it was a nurse or a young female employee. And she had on her night gear. What do you call it, baby dolls? One of the baby doll nightwear?
Nightgowns? Yeah.
She tried to throw something over my head. It was too late. I'd already seen it. And another time I played a trick on her, and she didn't appreciate it either. We were playing some kind of card, and I arranged it. I think it was what the heck was the name of it? Anyway, we just started it. I said, okay, I'll deal the cards out. We can play when you get back. Well, I deal the cards. And, no, they had them dealt. And so she laid hers down there. And I get the first draw. I arranged the cards in the deck. First card I get, oh gosh, laid them all down.
Oh, jeez.
But she was, but we used to go. They used to put on movies down there for the patients in the big auditorium, like, and I never go to watch them. But I first met her. It was what day, month of the year did you guys start, Connie?
Boy.
Huh? It was a bright, sunshiny day, anyway. And we went. I and this guy that I chummed with had went to school with him, and we were walking down to the employees' cafeteria. You could buy steak and everything there, whatever you wanted to. And we met and talked, and he introduced me to him and stuff. And this is the one I've been paying for the rest of my life. He introduced me to him.
Mm-hmm.
And but no, it was good times. And we went bowling one night. She beat me one game.
Oh, I bet that went over well.
No, it didn't bother me. I had to be a gentleman, the first date. And
Yeah.
she'll admit I was good. I did good, didn't I, dear, on my manners. Well, I had some.
She does not sure.
I had some car trouble, and I was getting really frustrated, but it worked out all right.
Flat tire.
Huh?
You had a flat tire. You didn't have
Flat
a
tire,
to
okay.
the trunk to get the.
Oh, and another thing that happened at the couple of things that happened at the hospital. We had a pool table up there on that one ward where I was working, and we played a lot of pool. And this one guy thought he was a hot shot, so, and I guess I thought I was decent too. And we made a little bet. loser had to buy breakfast for everybody. So we went up there and I beat that sucker, man. Get down there. We went up to the pancake house 6-7 miles up the road and he had to buy for everybody. One night they got a bat in there. We went after that son of a gun. We got him, but we ended up breaking a pool stick doing it.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
We got the bat anyway. And no, it was... But the other one, I was working with this black guy from Ypsi, and he weighed a good 250, 260. He's a little bit taller than me. Easy-going guy. But this morning he wasn't. He went out. Somebody had jacked up his car, put blocks underneath him, and stole both the hind wheels off of his car.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I'm glad he liked me. But I had to give him a ride to Ypsi, right into Blacktown. But it was no problem. And I don't know if they ever found out who it was, but probably a good thing because he'd have probably ended up in jail because he'd have beat the snot out of him. And I worked with Melvin, Adams, I think was his name.
Yeah.
Black guy. We worked together on a ward. I had been supervisor, then they sent him in too, so we had 2 supervisors. And we even got the boss on the day shift who was a drunk. And we knew it was because in what he uses his office, we found an empty whiskey bottle one time.
Oh.
And we went to go out one morning, and I said, by the way, would somebody get me the paperwork to fill out so I can take the 07 test, which was 2 notches higher? He started to cuss and swear, and we took off. Got out on the 3rd floor landing, and I said, Melvin, I think that was his name now. I can see him now. I said, when you're out, the light was out up there. I said, Melvin, I want you to stay smiling and your eyes open so I can tell where you're at.
What'd he say to that?
Well, he said, he says, if you get smart and drink more chocolate milk, he said, you'd probably have a better tan like I got.
Well, he took it pretty well.
Oh, yeah. We had a great time. And, no. One time I had to have a verbal counseling with one of the guys that worked with me. A real nice guy, easy going, about 6'3". He didn't come in to work. He come in the next door and they said, okay, you're going to have to verbally counsel him. Which wasn't I didn't like doing it, but it was no big thing. And I talked to him, I said, now you've been verbally counseled. Anyway, he said we did. He'd fell asleep and the whole shift was almost over. By the time he woke up, there wasn't no use of him coming in,
All right.
But he didn't lose only that day of pay, I guess. And I got a couple more I can say about Ypsi. We had a lot of stuff going on down there. We had this one patient, the one that I'd give the root in the rear, taking him down the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
One day he got out and ran away, and these swing sets, they have in schools, them big metal ones that are up quite high.
Yeah.
He crawled up and sat up sitting on the top, and I took the messenger with me, which is another patient that carries a key when he's running errands. And we went out there, and he said, Don't you come up after me. He says, I'll jump, and I'll break my leg. I said, jump? I don't give a damn. Ain't gonna hurt me. So he crawled right down, we took him back to the ward. And another time he went headed for the big cornfield. Probably about 20 or 30 acre cornfield.
I remember that cornfield.
And we jumped in my car, which wasn't supposed to take a patient and chasing another patient. I didn't think about the time, but we got out there and we cut him off. Now this messenger was an old man with gray hair. He jumped out, he nailed that guy, got him down on the ground. You don't run away on Mr. Livermore like that, boy. And he was giving it. He walked back real gently back to the ward. And then don't you know, when I got transferred up here, I worked on a ward, and they sent that son of a gun up here, and they put him on my ward.
The one that ran?
The one that ran, the one that climbed the handlebars,
Monkey
the
bars?
swing bars, and they had a young guy in there. It was about 6'4", 225 pounds. He might have been, I think he was under 20, because you got to be at least 18 to be in that one for adults.
Right.
And the guy went, not that guy, but and he used to be a wrestler from Michigan.
Oh.
So I didn't want to wrestle him.
No, probably not.
And this guy that climbed the bars and run for the cornfield, he come running right at me. I just stepped aside and let him go. He turned around, back, he come again, I stepped aside and let him go. When he come back the third time, I reached out and closed line, whap! The guy had been a wrestler, and then of course then I was on him.
Right.
And hold him down till I got some help. And that young guy had been a wrestler. He said, "Boy, you were fast on that one, wasn't you?"
You figured you better be fast if he ever got a hold of you. He'd have twisted you into a pretzel.
Oh, yeah. And then we had a woman that come in on the day shift. And every cotton picking day she'd come in, she'd be bellyaching, complaining about something. I stopped her. She'd come in one morning and I'd had enough. I said, "Okay, what you gonna bitch about today?" And she never did it again.
Wow.
And just,
I'm not sure that works anymore.
well, in another time, I was laying down on one of the benches or something, and I think I was dozing off, no doubt about it. And in the back door come this RN, and she wasn't very well liked either. And she almost had something that could have happened to her that we wished would have, but she was cutting across the grass part, take it shorter, and she's going to kick this cat until she realized it was a skunk. If she'd kicked that skunk, we'd have laughed at her.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But she would come in, we were coming, I got up, of course, my eyes weren't working too good. She said, "You been sleeping?" I said, "No, ma'am, I ain't been sleeping." "I ain't been." "Yes, you have." "No, I haven't." "Well, your eyes are red in this." And her says, "Well, his eyes are always red." She's stick up for, you got to stick together.
Yeah.
You got to stick together.
You were sleeping, weren't you?
Oh, jeez.
Huh?
And you remember
I said you were sleeping, weren't you?
Oh, I had been, yeah. Yeah. So see, one watches out for the other. One boy watches out for the other. Another time I was working on the admission ward, and I was working with a guy that could sleep with his eyes wide open.
Oh,
That's freaky.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Well, one day I and him, night we both sleep, and in come the RN. Karen Zeller was her name then. And she said, "Boys, I think you better be a little bit more alert." And the way she went on her, we was more alert then. After that, Do you remember Andy Ducci and the Ducci's?
Yeah. I remember some of them.
Well, I don't know if
Andy
you
worked
know
for the
Andy or
DNR.
not, that worked at State Hospital.
Oh.
We had a couple of things with him. We had a black guy. His name was White. So he left this other guy out there who was white, and his name was Black. Well, instead of being out there to help the guy whose name was Black, Andy went and locked himself in the office.
Oh, I remember that. You're telling me that, yeah.
And then I and Ed Manti come running over there. "You don't run and hide. You get your hind end whipped before you go and run and hide."
Yeah.
And you remember a guy named Eli Stoltzfus? He's from the church in Germfast.
Oh, I remember the name, but I don't remember much.
Okay, well, we were working with one guy there that was pretty Well, he wasn't the best of health, but Eli come around one night, and George says, I heard you're retiring. He said, yeah. He said, I'm going to retire in, I don't know, a few days or a week, something like that. And George says, good. We'll have a party after you're gone. Now, he was teasing this one person we had locked. Had her locked in a room.
Go ahead.
I shouldn't tell you this and put it on public thing. I didn't say it, but he told her up there, told her she was crazier than a two-peckered billy goat. And another.
Somebody was right.
We always playing tricks on each other, and when Karen was I was working, and I worked the afternoon on this ward, and this was the LPN on there, and the doctors come around and stuff like that. Well, on the night shift, I must have been working the night shift for the night before, because we'd have to go downstairs and get a bundle of clothes for each one of the people to put them on in the morning, make sure they had clean clothes, or at least dry clothes.
Right.
And we're down there, and we found this pair of panties, that big. And I think we wrote on it, the bigger the better. And we wrapped it up and give it to this LPN for a present. And she said the doctor was there. She said, yeah, she says, the doctor, and she called him a name, he gave these to me. No. I don't do that. I don't do it. Oh. And then another time, Nance, you remember the Nances?
Mm-hmm.
And she was, had one of these little tiny cars. There wasn't much room for one. And it was wintertime, big snowbanks like this. We went out there, picked up the front end of it, run it forward, and set it on the snowbank.
Oh, boy.
And we played drink. And another time was one guy, he always parked his car, his pickup, pointing towards the building. So when he come out, he'd come around the front, jump in, and take off. Well, this night, somebody, I wouldn't know who did it.
Right, yeah.
And took a bra, tied it very firmly on the ball hitch of his pickup. How long he drove that around Newberry, I have no idea. But we enjoyed our work most of the time.
Most of the time, sounds like you did.
Yeah.
Not sure anybody else enjoyed it, but you did.
Oh, well, we played tricks. If you didn't start playing tricks on them, they'd get you first.
Right.
And Bill Nance, her husband at one time, Bill was a big, strong son of a gun. And one night, a patient, I don't know how he got the match or something, he lit his mattress on fire.
Oh, that's not good.
No, that's not good. And we took it and threw it out the door down to the ground and from the third floor. And Bill was angry. He'd come over there. This guy had a nice big radio type thing, almost like a boombox. He said, you could have burned this up, he said, and he took it up like this. And, whoa. It was the end of it right there. But, and another one I was not involved in, but I enjoyed it anyway. Your Uncle Jay was working that night, or working that day, and a bunch of young people come around singing Christmas carols. Well, we had a girl in seclusion, and she was crazier than a shit old rat. And they were singing that song in where it mentioned Virgin. And she went wild in that room just about the time this one girl went past her door. And she wanted to get out of there real quick, but they did her singing and left, you know. Jay got a big kick out of that. We had another guy, he was nasty, he was in seclusion, and he was raising, and I wasn't working that day. And I wasn't working overtime. And he said this is what happened, that he was in there and the doctor said, he said, and anybody that comes in here, he had a urinal. Anybody that comes in here is going to get this. They opened the door and Dr. Dunn walked right in. Dr. Dunn got it.
Oh boy.
No, I think within 2 minutes, he was strapped down, 4-way restraint, arms
sure.
and legs.
With a butt full of authority.
But Dr. Dunn was a good doctor for the patient, but he didn't let them BS him and where it would give the employees the blame and get them in trouble. He knew better. He knew what they were up to.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Another time, we was about ready to throw a patient down the stairs of the 3rd floor. We was up there and getting them up, getting them dressed, and all of a sudden this one guy, he talked to us, so, hey boys, this fool over here just stabbed me. You know these big license back tags that you put on the back? And
Yeah, the old ones, the great big
That's
like,
what he
safety
stabbed
pins.
him with. Well, he's crazy. But they had to go to court. We grabbed him, we was angry, we put him in seclusion. We was that close to throwing him, tripping him and letting him go head first down about 8 or 10 steps of...
They stabbed one of the employees then?
Huh?
Stabbed one
Yeah.
of the employees?
Yeah. Care if they stab each other. That was no problem. But, you know, but then I had to go down to court one day and testify. There was no doubt. They're just going to send him back because he's crazy.
Right.
And they had it. They'd come around the safety department, the police department for them, safety department, come around. Jack come around and they would time to see how more quick you could get everybody off the ward. And a lot of times we'd follow him from one ward to another. And he's supposed to do that. And we set a record over on that one ward. I think it was just within 2 minutes we had all darn thing empty. He could write whatever he wanted there. We didn't care.
Right, right.
And but I'll tell you, this is the way it worked on nights. If there was trouble, you call, and there was help within 1 to 2 minutes.
Right.
Because we had a patient, Ivan, the woman I was working with, and he picked up one of them big oak chairs, and he wasn't going to let us back to get to the phone to call help. And finally she got into the next ward, and she called, and I'll tell you, it wasn't seconds after she called that this, can't remember his name, he came in first, and with 10 seconds after him, in come the burly hog.
Mm.
When the guy seen them, he put the chair down.
Yeah.
I said, them people are crazy, but they ain't stupid.
Right. They can count.
Because if he wanted to fight them 3 guys, he was going to be hurting.
Right.
And one time, me and that guy that came in first, can't remember his name. His wife worked there too. We transported a patient to a hospital in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got down, and he was in waist restraints and strapped in like that. And he had hand things on so he could, like this. He couldn't move just one. When we stopped to feed him, we let go with just one of them. That's what he ate. And I was sitting in the back seat beside of him. We got down there, wasn't sure where we was going. So the driver got out, went over to this gas station run by black people, I'm sure, because that's all you seen over there. And when he went in there, that doggone patient went ape on us. He started trying to kick the guy in the front seat,
Mm-hmm.
I got him by that leg and I started bending it sideways. You're going to break my leg, you're going to break my leg. I said, if you don't calm down, I'm darn sure going to break your leg. He calmed down.
Yeah.
We got him over and put him on that ward. They said, how'd it go? I told him about that. That quick, he was in 4-way restraints again. That guy was in 4-way restraints. They wasn't going to have no trouble with him.
No.
So then it was late, and if you're out over midnight, you can get paid for another meal. So we drove part way home and got a room. And got something to eat. Well, I guess it was the rooms that they paid for. And two of them went off, get them a few beers, I think. But we got an extra paycheck there.
Oh, heck yeah.
We tended to do them tricks like that. No, it was on that golf course at Ypsi that I got my first birdie, and oh man, it was fun. It was. I called one week. We'd go. I would. Kathy would go over to David and Linda's in Pontiac, and we'd go on a golf course over there.
I remember going to Aunt Linda and
Yeah.
Uncle Dave's in Pontiac.
Yeah,
I remember going over there.
that was the first guy I ever seen to skip one off across the water.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I told him to cheat. And it was over there on a golf course, 435-yard hole, elevated green about 3 feet. It was banked up, you know. And they got and it was, the fairway was sort of down, and it was quite hard. And they got up there and they hit that thing. I thought they were going to start. It must have went 300 yards. I got up there and I was using the old baseball grip that time, tried to get a little extra snap into it. I said, Lord, help me hit it straight because I'm coming out of my shoes.
Mm-hmm.
It went down there and rolled up the side of that bank on that 435-yard hole.
Wow.
And I was mad because I didn't go a little further and get
Right,
on
you
the
wanted
green.
it on the green.
I don't know what I got that day, but I'll never forget that hole.
All right, Dad, we're running about an hour here, so I'm going to kill it for now.
And
Hear me?
most of that was not around here.
Do you hear what I said?
Oh, yeah.
No, did you hear what I said? We've been going for an hour, so I'm going to kill it for